Hey, it's Bert Kreischer calling in.
No, this is the machine calling
This
in.
is the
Bert,
machine
how
calling
in the
in.
hell are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm so excited, dude, that you're going to be rolling in through Hampton Roads, Tampa. I don't know where I got that from. Bert Kreischer, the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour, lands at the Chrysler Hall. It's going down February 24th. 2 shows, too, 7 and 9:30. And let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Bert Kreischer, the machine, on the phone. What's up, man? How you doing?
It's fitting considering my entire life people call me Bert Kreisler.
Bert Kreisler. You know, right? I mean, it was going to happen sooner or later. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. It was going to happen sooner or later. I'm glad it's happening in Norfolk.
That's it, man. That's it. Good old Virginia. Bert, I got to be honest with you. I feel like you and we have a lot of similarities. I got to ask you this. Are you still slamming out the Kool-Aid first thing in the morning? Is that still something you do?
Of course. Let me tell you something. It's the best delivery system for water, in my opinion.
Man, listen, I've seen you talk about it, YouTube, all these different videos, and the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know why everybody's giving this guy such a hard time. Yes, we know it's filled with sugar. Dude, that was me growing up. I used to, I would make the Kool-Aid in like the old school iced tea pitchers in the 90s. I would just slam it out from the pitcher. I would drink as much as I can, and it would be at least a half or a third of it just in one little gulp. But, dude,
yeah.
that's still the greatest drink ever made.
Let me tell you, and this is, I got crap for that, but they make them in these 10-calorie servings, and you can fill up a gallon of water. It's a little watered down. I mean, it's meant for like an 8-ounce thing, but you can water it down, and it's so enjoyable over nice crushed ice in a styrofoam cup. I can't imagine a better way to have a beverage in the morning.
No, I'm telling you, people are doing this Crystal Light thing, and I'm like, get the hell out of here with that. I want cherry Kool-Aid all day, buddy.
Let me tell you, I went to a soul food restaurant in New Mexico, and they recognized me, and they gave me Kool-Aid. Soul food Kool-Aid is better than any Kool-Aid you're ever going to get.
Dude, I'm from New Mexico originally. Where at was it over there? Was it Albuquerque, Cruces?
It was over... I forget. Hey, do you remember the name of that soul food restaurant we went to, Peter? Oh, he just left. Anyway.
Well, I'm going to look it up if they're hooking it up with some Kool-Aid. So,
it was in Albuquerque.
Okay.
It was in Albuquerque, and they gave me a 32-ounce Kool-Aid in a styrofoam cup.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, oh, my God. It was. I could feel my teeth rotting out of my head.
Dude, I mean, again, like I said, I grew up in New Mexico. We're all poor in New Mexico, and so that's our go-to. I mean, then you can get really creative and, like, freeze them in the freezer. Then you got Kool-Aid popsicles for the afternoon.
Oh.
So you can't go wrong, brother, when it comes to...
My buddy Billy Gardell will take them, put them in the freezer, and he puts a timer on it, and it's just at the point where it turns into a slushie, and then he has a Kool-Aid slushie. And I'm telling you, man, it's fat guy ingenuity between me and him.
Yeah, it's heaven, brother. I'll tell you what, it really is. Bert Kreischer, again, big show going down Chrysler Hall of Theater on 24th, 2 shows, 7 and 9:30. Again, dude, I feel like there's just so much that we have in common. I got to ask you, now I'm obsessed with Italian mafia stuff, but I'm also obsessed with Russia as a country and just how weird or mysterious it is.
Yeah.
Can you please, and again, another weird commonality with us is that I also had to take four semesters of a foreign language in order to graduate with my degree. I went Spanish 1 through 4, never learned a lick of it. You went the Russian route, which then landed you a trip there, which you had an amazing experience with, I guess, the Russian mob. This is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, is this real?
Yeah. When we got there, it was 95, and they told us the mob runs everything. And, it was right after Perestroika, and they were like, we paid off the mafia to keep you safe. And they gave us 2 young gangsters, names were that in Russian is banditi, and they were like, stay away from them. And I was like, oh, they're going to be my best friends. And so I went over that first night, brought a bottle of vodka, introduced myself, and I tried to say something, but what came out of my mouth was Yamashinu, which means I'm the machine. And they fell apart laughing. And they were like, he's the machine. And we became buddies. Me and this guy, Igor, became really good friends, spent the whole summer with that guy, and then one night, the whole class takes an overnight train trip to Moscow, and we get a different mafia for the train, different mafia in Moscow, and the ones on the train were maybe not as user-friendly as Igor, and we ended up robbing a train.
Yeah, I'm listening to you tell this story, and I guess there was one point where your Russian teacher, who was kind of like the host, making sure all of you, I guess you were like in your 20s, you weren't that young, but I mean, she was kind of like your chaperone. She comes in, and she's freaking out to the point where the Russian dude slammed the door in her face. I mean,
No. So my Russian teacher was cool, but she was cool enough to know, hey, I'm not messing with this mafia on the train. It was an English teacher who did not speak Russian, who came, swung the door open. This is after we robbed the bar cart, and she was like, she opened the door with that, like, liberal arts confidence, and she was like, this is over right now. You are done. You're coming with me. Everyone, and like pointing at the mob, like, everyone in this car is in trouble. I'm going to talk to the police, and just yelling, and Big Igor takes a sip of vodka, spits it in her eyes, and he's like, no one talks to the machine like that.
Oh,
then
my God.
Slams the door in her face, and he's like, says, F that B, this is Russia.
Yeah, they do whatever they want over there. Again, we're talking with Bert Kreischer. Again, he's got a big show going down in Chrysler Hall, 2, 7, 9, and 9:30 on the 24th. Overall, I mean, that's insane. You know, I never would have imagined the mob's kind of running the country. I would have thought some sketchy things going on, but it sounded like it was probably the greatest trip of your entire life.
Without a doubt, probably the best trip I've ever had in my entire life. By the way, that one trip gave me a career. Like, who knew that story would turn into what it is today? I told it on Rogan, and next thing you know, that's all anyone knows me as is the Machine, and it's my nickname. It's my story. I tell it every show, and it was got like 85 million views online, and I'm like, hey man, from your mouth to God's ears, God bless, man. That was it was a blessing in disguise.
You never would have imagined the night you spent with the Russian mob was going to lead you to wealth and success. You know what I mean? So you got to take a chance, bro. I mean, you know, sketchy things like that usually turn up awesome, right? Hey, speaking of which, in regards to how that, and we'll get to your the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour, again, landing at the Chrysler Hall, 2 shows, 7, 9:30 on the 24th. Florida State University, top party guy of the entire school. Whenever Rolling Stone comes to you for the sake of wanting to write about you, I mean, did they compensate you in regards of becoming the biggest party dude at Florida State?
No, I mean, technically, it gave me a career because Oliver Stone offered the rights to my life, and I got the bravery to move to New York and start stand up. But yeah, it was just no compensation. It was a jump start to a career, and so. You know, my career is like a happenstance of crazy miracles that all lined up, all the planets aligned to get me to get into trying stand-up, which I love and is my passion. But, yeah, that article came out. It was a 6.5-page article calling me the #1 party animal in the country, and it changed my life. I mean, I tried doing stand-up after that. I moved to New York. And 6 months later, Will Smith discovered me.
Oh, my God. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful for that article, but yeah, I didn't get any money.
I would have thought they would have cut you like a couple of $1,000 or something, because it was pretty interesting, the whole write-up being deemed the top party guy at the top party school in all of America. Again, Bert Kreischer, the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour is at Chrysler Hall, 2 shows, 7 and 9:30 on the 24th. So at what point, Bert, are you like, well, maybe I can take this and kind of run with it? Who pushed you in the direction of stand-up, and how did you learn how to format an act and take it on the road?
Well, that's a good question. I tried stand-up the first time in college, right when I was before I left, at this place called Pop Ellie's, and it came very naturally to me. It was very stream of conscious. And then when I moved to New York, I realized that, like, I could be good in the moment. Like, I could get on stage and interact with people and mess around with the audience, which is very New York. But when I moved to L.A., I realized I didn't know how to write a joke. And so moving to L.A. and doing spots at the Improv in Ontario, Brea, and Irvine, that's where I learned how to write a joke. It wasn't till I did my hour on Netflix, Secret Time, where I really paid attention to the structure of an hour. Like, and I mean that like how you have to cover a topic, and then once you've covered that topic, you don't go back and revisit it. You've moved on. You can do a callback from that topic, but once you move forward, there's no go back and covering that material. And so That's when I became obsessed with like how to craft an hour, and I think that's the fun of it. That's why you do an hour. An hour of material is a real testament to how you are as a stand-up. Anyone can kill in 10 minutes. Anyone can kill. Everyone can murder in 30 minutes. 30 minutes is like hitting a ball off a tee. But an hour, that's where you separate the children from the adults.
I love it's like a theory, but I love just the the structure of comedy. Now, prior to the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour, which lands again at the Chrysler Hall, 2 shows 7 and 9:30 on the 24th, do you take material? Do you go and test it out like in smaller clubs, improv theaters, just to see if you're getting reactions based on some of the new material that you're putting together like some of these other comics do?
Yeah, you have to do smaller clubs, but more importantly, you got to do shows in front of people that don't know you. Because when you go to a theater, they're fans of yours, so they give you a little wiggle room. And when you go into a place where no one knows who you are, like go to the store, and people are like, I've never heard of this guy. That's where you find that your real value. So it's also a place where you can run the same joke 3 different times in a night, where you don't normally get that. And you're doing 10 minutes, so you can really focus on one joke. So, but yeah, I still do spots. Not as much lately because I've been on the road, and with the pandemic, you didn't want to get sick in LA and then take it on the road with you. But now that we've all gotten COVID, I'm doing spots again.
That's it. Again, Bert Kreischer, the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour. He's joining us live. The time that you spent in New York, Bert, I mean, was there ever, or even post-New York, the success that you've had in L.A. early on, was there any potential invites for like an SNL thing? I know you've done some TV stuff, but was that ever kind of in the picture at all in regards to landing a spot on Saturday Night Live?
No. What's so funny is that would have been one of my goals. When I first started, I would have loved to be on SNL. And then very quickly you realize that, like, the people that they book on it, like comics when they're cast on SNL, they don't get the same opportunities sometimes that, like, the improv guys get. And because it's so nepotistic, there's, like, if you come out of Groundlings or if you come out of Second City, there's a group of people you already know and they welcome you in. And as stand-ups, you're kind of on an island by yourself. And we hear so many horror stand-ups that comics have after being on SNL. Maybe not so much now with Pete Davidson and Michael Che, but especially back then, you were like, I remember really quickly, like, just hearing the horror stories of SNL. But that was my goal. I mean, I'm a huge Farley Belushi guy. I thought that would have been my path, but it was not in the cards for me. And probably rightfully so. I don't have a thick skin. I don't deal with office politics well.
Yeah.
And that is entirely how the show's run.
It seems like that's what it's really kind of turned into, because I remember a couple of years, maybe 3-4 years ago now, there was even some dudes that made it onto the show but couldn't based on some politics that happened in the past. And I was like, that doesn't sound like SNL to me, And again, like you said, with Pete Davidson, it seems like, and it's just kind of trips me out because I'm an early 90s SNL guy still, like you said, dude, Farley, Sadler. To me, it doesn't get any better than the early 90s. I mean, my God, it was so good. But those dudes, and again, I share a birthday with Farley. He and I, February 13th, I was thinking about him the other day, like how cheated in life I feel that this guy isn't around just to crack me up. Like, what would his life would have become? But is that still the effect for some of those SNL guys? Again, Pete Davidson, he's getting some limelight. Some of these dudes are making some movies, but back in the early 90s especially, I mean, these guys were big stars, and you've kind of been able to do that without that association. And I think there's a lot of comics. I feel like comics are really kind of coming, like I'm a big Sebastian guy. I love what you do. Jeff Dunham was here not too long ago. This is what I prefer. You know what I mean? So I love everything about what you got going on right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm a comic guy too. SNL doesn't is not on my radar too much, but comics are, like stand-up comics, that's kind of where I land. And especially like I'm like you, Spade, Farley, Sandler. I mean, those are my heroes. And so the fact that I know David Spade and that I'm doing a movie with Adam Sandler.
Oh, God.
That for me is that's all that you ever want. It's like the fact that I'm doing a movie with Happy Madison and you're like, I can hang up the cleats.
Good old Billy, Happy Gilmore, all those guys. Good old Chumps, So, yeah, I know how it is. Bert Kreischer, the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour is going to be at the Chrysler Hall Thursday, 2 show 7 and 9:30 on the 24th. So what can folks expect, man, outside of a beautiful shirtless-looking man? What can we look forward to whenever you roll into town, bro?
New hour material, and then at the end, if we're buzzed enough, we'll tell the machine story.
I mean, I'm going to have to, that's going to be my main point in regards to, let me introduce you to Bert Kreischer. I mean, the guy's got an incredible story. I mean, it just, good storytelling is funny nowadays, right? So, whenever.
A good story, everyone wants to hear a story because the story's got an arc. It's like, how many times can you watch Goodfellas? I can watch it every time.
Every time, dude.
On.
Every time. Yeah. Every time. How do you do, as a comic, though, you got to find that balance, like in your storytelling, like some jokes. Because if back in 95, 96, when all this was going down, I'm sure it wasn't as produced as what it is now. So just over the years, you've been able to refine that and just add the the comedic elements to your, just the crazy experiences that you've had in life?
Well, I think what happens is you do it a couple times and you have some cheat codes that you kind of find out. And then as you find out what works through trial and error, and then as you start telling more stories, you go, oh, I need that little seed to plant early in the story so I can harvest it later. I need 3 setups set here. Like right now I'm working on a story about going to an escape room with my parents.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, oh, I need my dad to say 3 things right here so that I can harvest them later in the story. And so it's little cheat codes that you learn that make a story good or give you good pacing throughout it. And without a doubt, you always need a good ending. Every story needs a good ending.
Very, very cool. Bert Kreischer, he's all over the place, and he's going to be here in Hampton Roads. Again, Chrysler Hall Theater, 2 shows 7, 9:30 on the 24th. And in addition to everything, can you give us a little sneak peek in regards to maybe some other projects to be on the lookout for? Maybe summertime into the year. You'd mentioned Adam Sandler. What's it looking like?
I got a movie coming out called The Machine that I did with Legendary about getting involved with the Russian mafia. And it's kind of like a Godfather 2 take on it. Godfather 2 meets The Hangover, and I got that coming out. We have a movie over at Happy Madison. Me and Segura are doing a movie, and Go Big Show podcasts. I'm trying to keep busy,
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. Hey, one more question before I let you go this morning. If you had to pick one, who's more gangster, Russian mob or Italian mob?
Oh, Russian mob, without a doubt.
Really, they'd smoke those other guys?
I think Russian mob brings this. They bring the machete to a knife fight.
Is that still happening over there? Has it kind of died down a little bit, or are they still kind of running things?
I think they're running things over here now.
Yeah.
I think they're over in Brighton Beach.
Yeah, no, I think you're onto something there. So that's all cool. Hey, we can become a friend of theirs, if you know what I'm talking about. So good old. Yeah, Manishna. You got to show me. You got to teach me the language, though, bro. I don't want those guys to jack me up, So
I got you taken care of.
I'll roll with the machine any day. All right, Bert, dude. I can't wait until you roll in. I love everything you do. I mean, your storytelling's awesome. I love the shirtless thing. I love how you don't take life serious. So get tickets to the show. Be listening for your chance to win. Bert Kreischer's live at the Chrysler Hall, and it's going down 2 shows on the 24th, 7 and 9:30. It's a real honor, man. Appreciate everything you're doing, and thanks for making me laugh all these years.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.